My first trip to Norway, 2008. I was the speaker at a conference in Bjorli and flew from Hong Kong to Amsterdam and then on to Fjord, south of Oslo, to be met by Martha, Gunnar's aunt, who lives in the picturesque town of Horten and who was to drive me the 300 miles north to Bjorli in what was to be one of the nicest trips I ever took. We had never met, but her hospitality was next to none. Heading due north and expecting to take 6 hours to reach there, we were soon passing Oslo, a cruise ship in the port. After a couple of hours, it was time for lunch, and Martha had not only planned a nice place, she had a Norwegian picnic prepared on the banks of the lake, after which I shot the wildlife there. And enjoyed the beautiful sunshine. Then on to our next stop, the famed Lillehammer, made famous by Gulliver and renowned for being a winter sports paradise. Stopped for petrol just before Lillehammer. Almost at Lillehammer here, and we're just getting filled up with gas. Gonna grab a drink, making good time. Beautiful blue sky, my kind of clouds, and really enjoying the trip so far. On the road again. This was my first day in Norway, and I was really enjoying the wow factor, particularly as we had such good weather. We are still driving past the Mjøsa Lake, the largest in Norway, 73 miles long. I remember at the time thinking, what amazing scenery it was. Approaching Lillehammer, the 1994 Olympic ski jump in the distance. Martha is about to take me to Lilleputthammer, the theme park here, which is actually a miniature version of Lillehammer's main street, built at a scale of 1:4. It even has a train and rides, and is certainly impressive. And guess what? We can ride it. Many other things to enjoy. But we have another 150 miles to go. Unlike the mountains, this area has many green meadows and farms, and it does have a beauty of its own. The green fields and trees, reminiscent of England, and the journey, as usual, part of the Norwegian experience. Then we began to climb up into the mountains, following the river which feeds the lake. And suddenly, in June, there's snow on the mountains, and the houses have grass roofs. So one last stop. Martha has been driving for 5 hours. This is a troll stop, the evil rascal of Norwegian folklore, the famous, or should that be notorious troll in Norwegian folklore, not quite the nice little creature that the cartoons made him out to be. Then on to Bjorli. Arriving at our hotel. I decided to see off my friend Eric at the train station. He was returning to Oslo. The rail system in Norway is excellent. Here are the three wise men.
Two of them.
The third is behind the camera.
Oh, the Three Stooges.
Yeah, right. Elaine came too, and it was not long before the train arrived, right on time. It was the main train to Oslo, and takes 4 hours and 45 minutes to cover the 300 miles. Elaine and I wanted to explore a little, so we crossed into the village to have a look around, Elaine acting as my guide. These scenes are literally 5 minutes away. Norway has a diversity of scenery, each place having a character of its own. This is in the mountains, but not the rugged mountain scenery found farther north. This is typified more by the fast-flowing rivulets and streams, lush green trees and meadows. At this time of the year, when the snows are melting, the rivers and streams flow with a mighty force. Elaine from farther south was enjoying it as much as I was. He explained to me how Norwegian homes are insulated against the long cold winters. Grass on the roof, an excellent insulator. As the warm air inside rises, it has no way to escape. Just a small fire can heat the home. The interlocking wooden beams are also well insulated on the inside. The water straight from the mountain, and at this time of the year can be drunk straight from the river. It's so pure. Whenever I see water cascading down the mountain in this way, I always feel that it's dancing, a dance of freedom, the warmth of the sun liberating it from its icy winter bondage. I just walked up here with Aling, just seeing the wonderful waterfall, but just being out here in the countryside, it's just beautiful sunshine. It's kind of 6 o'clock in the evening, the sun is still high in the sky. The scenery is just beautiful. What a day it's been. 300 miles through beautiful countryside, the mountains, the meadows, and finally the water's dance of freedom. The next part of the journey is through some of Norway's finest scenery. It will take us about an hour to Trollstigen. This is the rugged, raw Norway. Even the weather was not great. Mountains, streams, powerful rivers, and waterfalls. Just when I thought I'd seen it all, I hadn't. I should have packed my kayak. Wow. The road rolls alongside the river. With the occasional waterfall to make it interesting. I lived in Jamaica for 2 years, and whenever I drove along the north coast there, it was like there was a totally different scene around every corner. And that's the feeling I get in Norway. 1 minute it's the river, then it's the looming mountains, then a waterfall. Then we are ascending Trollstigen, the Troll's Ladder. And the massive waterfall there crashes down the mountainside. As usual, no camera can capture the exhilarating power and awe of the scene before me. But then again, it's the land of awe and wonder. This is one of the most awesome and wonderful places, where trolls roam after the sun has set, but surely where God rules in the daytime. Exciting just to be here. Since this visit, I've seen it in the sunshine, and I've seen it in the mist. Every time it surprises me, even when there's neither sun nor mist. There are excellent viewing balconies overlooking the bends and the Stigfossen waterfall, which spectacularly falls 320 meters. That's over 1,000 feet. The authorities have done a great job of making it accessible to visitors. And since this video was shot in 2008, it's even more visitor-friendly. Naturally, to do that, sacrifices need to be made. But now it's accessible to far more people. It can't be far from the Hall of the Mountain King, where sits a great crowd of trolls gnomes, and goblins. When I look at the juxtapositioning of the mountain and waterfall, and the valley and meadow, I have to say when God made this scene, he was having a good day. It speaks majesty. It exudes power. And on we go. Gunnar not just showing me around his amazing nation, but enjoying it with me. As usual, he knows exactly when the ferry from Linga to Eidsdal leaves, and we're right on time. This time we need 1 hour and 42 minutes, but that includes the ferry. I was fascinated by the grass-roofed houses. This one went a step further and had a Christmas tree on it. Its location right next to the stream, and what a stream! Good thing there's a bridge. Next stop was a scenic spot called Gudbrandsdjuvei, another stunningly picturesque location where the river cascades through the gorge, under the road bridge and onward to the fjord. The legend tells us that a young man named Gudbrand and his bride jumped across the gorge here while eloping. The color of the water clearly shows its glacial origins. Then on to the ferry. Believe it or not, this was the very first ferry I took in Norway. And an unforgettable trip it was, though short. We are heading toward Eidsdal. The skies were very interesting. Rain maybe. This is my first glimpse of what is the most famous of all the fjords, Geiranger. So 10 minutes later we arrived in Eidsdal. But as we went over the mountain, we encountered the rain clouds that we'd seen from the ferry. That's a lake there. The good news that as we emerged on the other side of the mountain, it had stopped raining, and the famed Geiranger Fjord was before us. The Queen Elizabeth and other ocean-going liners sail up here. Then down to catch the ferry. Our destination, Helsilt, and the famous waterfall there that flows right down past the town and into the fjord. Even on this dull and rainy day, the fjord looks great. The small sightseeing boat is returning, and a larger vessel is anchored. But none of the large liners is here today. This is the heart of the tourist area. Spectacular waterfalls abound. A farm on top of the hill where young children would be tethered so that they would not fall over the cliff. And it's right next to the famous Seven Sisters waterfall, and opposite the waterfall that's called the suitor, who was spurned and hit the bottle that is clearly seen in the waterfall. Another waterfall is so wind-blown, by the time it reaches the fjord, there's no water left. Whenever I cross Geiranger, I'm amazed it is the sea and not a lake. I always hope to pass a really large liner that puts everything into perspective. But even so, what a place. Gunnar even found somebody he knows. Up on deck, there are great views of the Helsilt waterfall as we come in. I remember asking Gunnar, "Is that a waterfall right in the center of the town?" To which he replied, "Wait till you see it close up." And we did. Gunnar promised me an amazing waterfall, and he surely delivered. Helstilt is a beautiful town, and we've enjoyed many a picnic overlooking the falls on one side and Geiranger Fjord on the other. In the warm summer sunshine, a special treat. The Grand Hotel, where Conan Doyle, the writer of Sherlock Holmes, stayed when he visited here. The view of the waterfall from the bridge. And salmon do swim up this one, though not at this time of the year. The factory outlet, where the best thermal underwear is made, next to the bridge, built in 1907. As we left, I got one last shot from the top bridge. What a spectacular sight for a town, next to the fjord and waterfall, amidst the mountains. We're in western Norway, traveling west to Volda, needing one more ferry ride. We were soon passing through the beautiful valley of Norringsdalen, unspoilt over the centuries, where the cowgirls' huts can still be seen. The huts are built against the rock at the back to protect from the weather, and the windowless hut on the left is for the cows. The huts being to protect both cows and girls from the severe weather. Even so, the valley gives some shelter and provides water. As usual, Gunnar is proud to point out that the water is the purest on the planet. I had no choice but to follow suit.
From the stream here. I'm gonna drink this water. The cows up there, I just hope they didn't pee in the river. They peed in the river.
Here's the verdict.
The water's really good. A really fresh taste. But I think a little hint of cow pee in there.
The thing is, any water you see, you could drink of.
Any water.
Gunnar said any water you see, you can drink. It was a very special valley. Then we arrived at the Union Hotel in Øya, a famous place where many celebrities have stayed, and even royalty, and where Gunnar and I had a coffee. The room rates were not that expensive, but the place was really beautiful, in the old style. One can imagine Sir Arthur Conan Doyle sitting there writing about Holmes and Watson and Moriarty. This was a favorite place of his, and a room is named after him. Then on to get the ferry. In the evening sun, the fjord was beautiful. When we finally reached Volda, it was late. This shot was taken at 11:30 at night from Gunnar's home. Gunnar is certainly fortunate to live in such a beautiful location. I was staying right in the center of the town, and took my morning walk after breakfast around the delightful harbour. It was filled with all kinds of vessels, the sailing boats, the fishing boats, and today, about 25 miles from the open sea, quite calm. A quiet scene, but with lots happening. For me as a visitor, I was observing the things around me and wishing I could jump aboard a boat and take a spin. My best friend in the Channel Islands is a fisherman, and I always take some trips with him. Believe it or not, he's half Norwegian, and as I sat here and surveyed the nautical scene before me, breathing the sea air, there was a sense of nostalgia, especially at seeing the fishing boats. Every now and then, the Volkestad ferry would arrive from the opposite side of the fjord. There's something about trains and boats and planes that always lifts me. So the ferry comes in, and the people, and then the cars get off. And life goes on. And then the ferry leaves, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I then got Gunnar to don a wetsuit and take my subscribe sign into the bay and poke it out of the water to remind people to subscribe to my channel. So please do it at the end of the film. By the way, if you think Norway is a cold, God-forsaken country to the north of everything, take another look. It's not as cold as you think. And God used it to create His poetic masterpiece for all to enjoy. And when the winter and the snows come and the lake freezes, the inhabitants get out their skis and ice skates, and even shed tears when winter abandons them.
I've been sitting here for about 20 minutes so far. Just a beautiful place, and snow-capped mountains in the background, and the ferries keep coming in. All the boats in the harbour are just in front of me here. But still, it just gives me an opportunity to say this is a really great place.
We are in Gunnar's hometown of Volda, and today I learned something about Gunnar that I didn't know before. He has a boat. Just when I thought life could not be any better, I'm sitting in his car, being driven to it. Furthermore, we have coffee and sandwiches, cheese and Norwegian crackers, and another sunny day. His boat is anchored on the fjord, and there it is. And the biggest treat of all, his daughter Sulevai and her daughter Linnea are coming with us. The last time I saw Sulevai, she was about the same age her daughter is now. Gunnar is retrieving the boat. And we're off. Gunnar's daughters were childhood friends with my daughters when they lived in Hong Kong.
Hi. Say hi to Dodie and Rachel.
Yeah, hi Dodie, Rachel, Nathan. Hope to see you soon. You're very welcome to Norway.
Now we can see the fjords from a car, or perhaps from a cruise ship, but a small boat is my favorite, because we're right next to the water. I can touch it. Close to nature, and with a 360-degree view. I'm always amazed by the scenery of Norway, powerful in its diversity, but I feel the weather also enhances the experience. So clear, so bright, making everything colorful. And my favorite way to see a place is by small boat. I just sit there and enjoy it. Turn the wheel, slow down, speed up, turn left, turn right, under a bridge. I've even been over a bridge on a boat. It's so warm, Gunnar is getting some sun. Having said that, the water temperature of the fjords is quite cold, even in summer. Every now and then we came across a quiet corner, maybe a small bridge and a few houses. The engine quiet, the sea flat calm. I think this is the best time. "11:30 at night, and still cruising. The sunset, magnificent, and another great day in beautiful Norway." Gunnar has a special treat for me today. We're heading off the beaten track, east out of Volda. It's not a tourist place, but it's a beautiful, quiet rural area that has great charm. Every now and then a church, a waterfall or two, but right in the middle of nature. Gunnar knows people in a place called Bjorke. Nothing much here except a church surrounded by farms right on the fjord. Fjorden. Quiet and peaceful, and certainly having the distinct Norwegian feel. Boat houses with grass wigs that seem to have a personality of their own. The flat calm of the water making some great shots. Gunnar wanted me to see a great example of a Norwegian country church. He knew the people, and when we arrived, they were actually spring cleaning the church and cemetery. I learned some interesting things. A special plaque commemorates a disaster in 1770 when 27 people were killed as they crossed the fjord. An avalanche came down the mountainside and created a tidal wave that capsized their boat. They laid out the bodies, and the next morning noticed a little girl had moved her hand in the night. She was probably still alive, and no one had noticed. Whilst I was there, Gunnar's friend showed me a historic artifact, a red flag that would be flown from every church if the Swedes invaded. There's only one other remaining at a church in the south of Norway. It used to be bigger, but I think he used some of the material to make a pair of trousers, but I may be wrong. The church inside was immaculate, colourful, and it's clear that Norwegian Christians love the house of God. Gunnar explained that when the people of the village built a church, they would have to sacrifice to do it. They would even sell some cows or sheep in order to pay for it. The pulpit, where the pastor preaches. The hymn numbers for the day. The scripture, the words of Jesus. The place of communion, and even a pipe organ. And clean, colourful decorations. The heating is important, and all churches have a wood stove heater. Outside we could see a great waterfall flowing into the fjord. And another small village. The flowers of the church and nearby homes were a pleasure to behold. What a beautiful place, meticulously cared for. Nearby was a hydroelectric plant that Gunnar's dad was involved in building. He had a trucking company that was used to take away the excavated rock as they built the plant. This is the wheel of the turbine that was driven by the water. Water comes in here,
This will turn around.
drives it around. Electricity. And this is the water that has just driven the turbine. Opposite, several waterfalls cascade down the mountain. Beautiful. By the fjord, a gull with her young nestled atop the boathouse. And guess what that was? A small killer whale, also known as an orca, chasing herring. This is the church we just filmed, viewed from the opposite side. We then drove up the mountain, great views from the top. I certainly had been able to get a different glimpse of Norwegian life. This was my first trip to Norway, and actually the longest by far. I'm usually rushing around, but on the second half of this trip, I was staying in Volda, near the harbor, and it quickly became my favorite place. In the summer sunshine, very beautiful, and its setting in the fjord amidst the mountains, certainly enhancing the beauty of the town itself. Each day Gunnar had a special treat in store, and today was no exception. We're heading northwest to Eiksund, first over the mountains, and then through the Eiksund Tunnel, the world's deepest tunnel that's only been open 4 months. The blue light ahead is sea level, so now we are below sea level. We've been going down 5 kilometers, and this is the deepest part. 260 meters deep. Above us, the fjord and the fish we are about to catch. The tunnel is 7.6 kilometers long. So back above sea level, and down to the boat. Severin is waiting for us to take us deep fjord fishing. And we're soon moving out. The adventure begins, and we couldn't have chosen a better day. The fjords of Western Norway are some of the most beautiful places on planet Earth. And to be with friends and get to go fishing is fantastic. The ocean wave in beautiful Norway, which is almost as beautiful as Sweden. Johan from Sweden was taking the shot for me. He's Sulevai's husband. Severin is an expert fisherman, and we're super blessed that he's invited us to fish with him. The fjord here is 200 meters, that is 650 feet deep, and he's using long lines. A wooden board holds the hooks ready for baiting. The gulls can smell the bait. Then Severin gets them ready to be lowered into the deep. The line is then thrown overboard with a buoy attached, so that we can return later to see if we caught anything. In the middle of nowhere, another boat comes alongside, and it's Severin's brother, so they have a chat. "Did you catch anything?" Yuan puts down another line. Severin's brother continues his journey, and Yuan takes a break. We then pulled up one of our lines. The gulls seemed confident of a catch, and they were right. There's more to come. Some of the fish are not good for eating, so they'll go back. But eventually, Billy Bass takes the bait, and fish dinner begins to be a possibility. So this is Severin, and he took us out fishing, and we caught one good fish and two bad fish. But Severin does not give up. He's confident of more fish. This time, Yuan is trailing the line near the surface, and he catches 3 fish. They are scythe, small codfish. Are these better eaters now?
4. It's 4.
4 more. 5.
Give me 5.
Then 5 more on the line, and dinner is assured. And many more to come, another codfish. The mark of a true fisherman is that he enjoys the fishing. The mark of a true tourist is that he likes to catch fish. So I'm a tourist for sure. I'm very happy today. I remember fishing off Cape Canaveral in Florida, and we were catching a mahi every 10 seconds. Now that was fun. This was before the days of my new camera. so no slow-mo, but still not bad pictures of the gulls.
Ja. Okay.
So now,
Hello.
this is Yuan, and he found the fish.
Yeah, I found the biggest.
One cod. Oh,
Yeah, one cod and one something else.
I live in Hong Kong, and his name is Yuan. In Chinese, it sounds like he's the fish finder. Gunnar then tried to get the gulls to perform for the camera. Birds in flight are beautiful. Gunnar was throwing bait to get them to perform for me. Yuan was great fun, and as usual Gunnar is my tourist guide extraordinaire. It's been a wonderful day. Many thanks to Severin for his kindness, and God answered our prayers for good weather. And one last thing, that night we ate all the fish, the icing on the cake, if you see what I mean. Gunnar has another great day planned for me today. We both looked at the weather and decided we'd better pray. We are visiting Jostedalsbreen National Park because Gunnar has installed a new projector for them, and he's checking everything is okay. So I set up my tripod and started shooting. I am surrounded by beauty. Everywhere I point my camera, another aspect of it. As I edit it, I keep thinking the shots are too long, but I want to enjoy them. Now, after seeing my other films, you may wonder what Norway is doing having a national park. Surely the whole country is a national park. But it actually has 44 national parks, each having something special. Jostedalsbreen means Jostedal Glacier, and is the largest glacier in continental Europe. Its fingers emerge all over the park. This place is just a beautiful place. Just right here overlooking the lake here, and snow-capped mountains all around us, and just very, very beautiful place. I must say, I really enjoyed this time of shooting amid such beauty. The snow still lingering on the mountain tops, and Oldevatnet Lake, one of the most beautiful places in Norway. The centre was a very interesting place to learn about Norway, and well worth a visit. even the building having traditional features. The geological park outside displaying specimens of rocks found in the area, labeled with their names, and also a great collection of flora similarly identified. And places where one can just sit and soak in the atmosphere of the place, which I did. A great deal of care has been taken to make the place beautiful and interesting, and I thoroughly enjoyed seeing it. They have chosen an excellent location. It even had a mountain stream running through it. Though Norway is an amazingly beautiful place, I have to say that this particular spot on a fine day has to be one of the best scenic spots in Norway. It doesn't have the spectacular waterfalls or rivers. It's simply a serene and peaceful spot amid such natural beauty. From there we went to visit Gunnar's sister-in-law and her family up on the mountain. We're on our way to Briksdal Glacier, but we're persuaded, if that's the word, to enjoy strawberries, ice cream and coffee. And we have just had wonderful coffee with ice cream in it. Beautiful Norwegian strawberries with ice cream. They were about to have a barbecue. Alas, we had to move on and get to Briksdal. Through more scenery, the journey in Norway is usually as interesting as the destination. And we actually passed the National Park Center again on our way to Briksdal. Briksdal is a major tourist destination, the glacier and waterfall being the main attraction. But as in many places, the cruise ships can come right up the fjord to this location. And the ships that come here are not small. The passengers are then bussed to Briksdalbren from the ships, a journey which itself is beautiful. Now for the glacier. People from all over the world come to visit this famous arm of the Jostedalsbren Glacier and the roaring waterfalls and high peaks. There's a great walk from the mountain lodge up to see the glacier, 3 kilometers each way, that passes some amazing sights. This was my first trip here, and I was stunned by the beauty and the wildness of the place. Gunnar had promised me some amazing sights, and in no way did he exaggerate. In fact, it was better than he described it. The waterfall was amazing. And yet, as far as Norway goes, it's ordinary. After this trip, it was my favorite, but believe me, there are many more that are far more spectacular. Having said that, it was a fantastic walk, and not to be missed. The waterfall is majestic, powerful, nature shouting for everyone to take notice. In this case, it's saying, "I'm free." The water, that is. Having been locked up in a glacier for perhaps centuries, it now happily runs, jumps, splashes, and cascades through nature's wonderland. I have to say that having Gunnar as a guide and companion on these trips is tremendous. His knowledge of this region is immense, but for me as a tourist, the simple facts about Norway and Norwegian life that every Norwegian knows were invaluable and give me insight and understanding, not just about glaciers and waterfalls, but of culture and history. Like he's saying to me, this is who we are.
This is just normal in Norway. Thousands just like this.
When Gunnar told me that, I didn't believe him. But I've never known him tell a lie, and after 4 trips I know it's true, and I still haven't seen the best. At one point the waterfall creates its own rainbow. I love the bridge that enables us to literally walk over the falls. Every now and then there was a wall of rocks and debris that signaled the place where the glacier had halted and then retreated. The white water flowing through the trees with the glacier behind certainly was a great sight. The actual sounds one hears here are part of the experience. And there were many great scenes to shoot. The mountain huts with their grass roofs. Even the occasional mountain goat. This is just one finger of continental Europe's largest glacier, but unfortunately it's been receding for many years. This was where the glacier was in 1800. A glacier is a body of packed snow and ice that very slowly moves downhill with gravity, generally taking with it rocks and soil, and eventually forming a glacial valley. The typical blue-green color is apparently due to rock flour, and glacial rivers also have a similar hue. For the weary, there's the troll car, though even that seems fun, especially if time is limited. Here 3 rivers converge, the blue-green glacial color clearly seen, and we continue to make our way up the glacier. Finally arriving. The 30-degree line shows where the glacier was recently. It's now unsafe to walk on it. The glacier feeds a small lake that is freezing cold.
This water has just melted off the glacier, and wow, it's like ice water. It's really cold. Right here behind me, there's a block of ice. So the whole thing is so cold, the ice is not melted. The ice just came off the glacier.
On reaching the glacier, it's photo time, before heading back down, and thankful that we go up before we have to go down. Foxgloves, a favorite Norwegian wildflower. Gunnar found a cabin to let, and it was just what I needed. What a walk, exhilarating on the way up, invigorating on the way down. On the way home, we stopped at Strand, a delightful town famous for skiing in the winter and for its scenic beauty in the summer. Another memorable day in beautiful Norway. Gunnar's good friend, Torbjorn, has offered to take us for a trip on his yacht, the Kintyre, to Bird Island and on to Fosnavåg, where we'll spend the night moored up in this interesting coastal town. Torbjorn has planned the route, and the sea is quite rough. We got a chance to view the thousands of birds, albeit at a distance, on this remarkable bird sanctuary on the island of Runda. Next morning we are safe in Fosnavåg, but I have to report that last night we had engine trouble and limped into the harbour. We first had a great breakfast aboard, and then Captain Torbjorn and First Engineer Gunnar quickly fixed the problem, and once again the boat was shipshape. Fosnavåg is a pretty little harbour town in western Norway, so we decided to have a look around and maybe find a place to have lunch and a coffee. I call it a town, but in actual fact in 2002 it was given the status of a city, mainly so that ships can be registered here. Historically a fishing town, the statue clearly communicating the dangerous nature of fishing in this part of the world. Nowadays the fishing boats have become bigger. The sheltered natural harbour here is excellent.
Well, it's about noontime and we have fixed the drive shaft, which was broken as we came in last night. So we're all set to head out onto the sea in a moment and head back to the place that we came from. And probably we'll put up the sail too. We can get about just under the diesel motor. It's about, we maybe run about 2 to 3 knots. But when we're running under the sail, we yesterday went up to 7.4 knots, which is quite fast. The weather has not been too good. It's been rainy, yesterday especially, but today the sea seems quite calm, and it stopped raining. It's still cloudy, but perhaps this will get better as the day goes on. Really enjoying the time here.
It was a disappointment not to have better weather. The scenery here was beautiful, but we didn't see it at its best, though I thoroughly enjoyed the trip and spending some time with Torbjorn. I have to say at this point that last night it got a little cold and rough, and I went below to get my jacket. Alas, by the time I returned, the motion of the boat had got to me, and I got a bad bout of Njord's revenge. Nothing that a good night's sleep could not cure. As we left Fusnavåg Harbour, I was already looking forward to the sail back to Ulsteinvik. I love boats, and I love the sea, and this adventure was like no other. The Kintyre was a beautiful boat, and as we sailed out of the harbour, I still remember having one of those glad to be alive moments. I always feel fortunate to be able to travel around the world, see new places, meet new people, and learn about other cultures. Norway has such diverse scenery, and on this trip I got a glimpse of another aspect of this land. It certainly whets my appetite to visit the north. As we set out and chat about the events of the last 24 hours, I feel privileged that I can have this opportunity. It was a great treat to actually spend a night on the boat, wake up in a new place, and explore. Even saw a puffing getting breakfast.
Well, this is the life on the ocean wave, and Torbjorn has made me captain for 15 minutes, so I'm steering the ship straight for the rock.
I was finally on the last leg of my trip. I was met in Oslo by my friend Roar, who was my host for a day. I'd seen this beautiful nation, and now it was time to enjoy the capital city, but I only had a day. First stop, the ski jump, was breathtaking. It must be great to see the event happen. And no wonder Roar was proud of his team. Norway have won more Winter Olympic gold medals than any other nation. They are number one. Everybody in Norway skis, even the kings. Nearby was a beautiful chalet from where we can see over the city. Inside was traditional Norwegian, and the grounds were very interesting. Then we went down into the city. 1,000 years of history is here, and some beautiful buildings, not least the royal palace, though we missed the changing of the guard. The center of the city is magnificent, spacious tree-lined avenues, and plenty of things for the visitor to do and see. Culture is an important part of the city. Norway boasts some great writers, composers and poets. It's also a great place to walk around and explore. The City Hall is well known for the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony. Alfred Nobel was the inventor of dynamite and gelignite, and when, in 1888, his brother Ludwig died, a French newspaper erroneously published Alfred's obituary, in which he was condemned for his invention of dynamite. The obituary stated, "The merchant of death is dead," elaborating by saying he became rich by finding ways to kill more people faster than ever before. Wanting a better legacy, he left most of his fortune to fund a peace prize. By the way, he was not Norwegian, he was Swedish. The harbor today has been transformed into a beautiful place, a stop-off point for many cruise ships, and a hive of activity even on this rainy day. Many restaurants, shops and cafes, interesting sights. Ruar's son has a sailing school here, Ruar himself being an intrepid yachtsman. Alas, no time for a sail, but it was fun to stroll around. And I did notice a number of sculptures that graced the harbor and canals. Oslo not only has many cruise ships visiting, but there are many ferries, some going as far as Copenhagen and Kiel in Germany. But it's coffee time, and the name of this cafe indicates they roast their own, and we could smell it.
So you enjoy visiting Norway?
I'm having a very good time here, and I have this bowl, cafe mocha,
Good.
and it's very good. We've just walked on the seafront in the harbour. Came on to rain a little bit, but Gunnar told me over this side of us, of Norway, it's always raining.
There's history all around this 1,000-year-old city. Akershus Castle across the fjord later was used as a prison. City Hall and the boardwalk. And even restaurant boats. It's actually June, but the weather is quite cool today. Eventually the sun did appear. Now there's a bargain, fresh shrimp for $10 a kilo. The fishing boats had just landed them a few hours ago. The Viking heritage of sailing still in evidence, though these boats are from a later era. Norway still has a great affinity to the sea. Boats of all kinds proliferate. Transport is very good. And there are plenty of places to visit. The Nobel Museum, Parliament House, and many parks, gardens, and elegant hotels. And the tourist train, always a great way to view and shoot the sights. A trademark of European capitals are the fountains and gardens, and Oslo is no exception. Right in the center of the city, a place of beauty and enjoyment, even for the kids. And believe it or not, al fresco dining, in spite of the climate, is all around. It was quite a change from the raw beauty of the mountains, waterfalls and fjords. But it was nevertheless a great way to end my first trip to this amazing nation. I'll be back. Already on Exion.org. Don't miss Norway HD with my daughter Rachel, and Norway 2013 with my son Nate, and Western Norway in 4K, and many more.